Hi guys, welcome to Best Life Ever, the podcast with your hosts Kimi and Pua. This morning we are super excited to be here with our coach and friend Egan Inoue. I'm sure you guys have heard Egan's name before. Egan is a very accomplished athlete and entrepreneur. He has won 11 world titles in 3 different sports. Racquetball, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and MMA, or mixed martial arts. And he now owns 3 gyms here in Hawaii and just released a new book called Becoming Relentless. Egan also owns Cryotherapy Hawaii, which we'll hear a little bit about in our interview. And clearly he has a lot to share about being an athlete, being an entrepreneur, and overcoming challenges with a relentless spirit.
And he is also a father of 5. And, we're so blessed to get to spend a lot of time with Egan. And we know that he's certainly living his best life ever. And Egan, you spend your days spending time with family and surfing and training jiu-jitsu and actively coaching at all of your boot camp locations, and really spending time in the community as a speaker as well. And yes, opening up and running your cryotherapy Hawaii. And in your spare time, you wrote a book. So can you first of all just share with us how you find the time to do all of these amazing things in your life with so much energy, and maybe share a little bit about your work-life balance secrets with our audience?
Well, I like it because your guys' show is called Best Life Ever, because I always think that on myself. I always think that, like for me right now, it's like best life ever. I mean, it feels like I just don't have any time in the day. And, like when talking about that book, it's not like I had spare time to do it. I just kind of had to force time into the day. So at the beginning, when I first started writing that book, I think I was waking up like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning every single day. And I just try to get 1 hour. And I did that for about a year and a half. And then I kind of got burnt on it a little bit, and I'd wake up and do other things. And you just kind of get into the habit of waking up that early. As far as balancing all the other things, it really comes down to how much you really want to do something. And, I try to make sure I get my 8 hours of sleep, but in the last 63 days, I've been tracking. I've been doing 7 hours of sleep, so I've been short an hour. But that's how it is. And before all of that, and as I was trying to accomplish other things, I definitely wasn't getting 8 hours of sleep. So there's a lot of times in my life when I would really want to do something. I'll survive on 5 hours, 6 hours of sleep. Not the healthiest thing, but as much as I can, I try to get 8 hours. But like I said, in the last 63 days, it hasn't happened, or 67 days. But, you make it work. And I think when you enjoy what you're doing and you have fun, I get a lot of energy coaching a lot of people, showing up my different boot camps. I always tell people that, our clientele, that's what inspires me. My coaches inspire me. And, people have a hard time relating to that, but it's like when I see people just starting the boot camp and they're suffering and they're having a hard time, I always think about like when I started. It's not easy. And, it inspires me to see people going through that. So it kind of makes me relive that. And I think that's what inspires me a lot, because it reminds me like every single time I got to keep challenging myself, And, yesterday I ran into a boot camper in Whole Foods, and it's really funny because it's Dino, and he's like, I'm so excited about your book. And, and I'm like, yeah, me too. Right. And he goes, man, you got to get on Today's Show. And I was like, get on what? He goes, the Today Show, you got to get. And I'm like, no, I don't really want to do that. He goes, why not you? Right? Why not you? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you're making me super uncomfortable. In my head, I'm thinking, you're making me super uncomfortable. But it's interesting because, it's like, that's the kind of things like, boot campers will say things to me and I go, oh, like even like the Ninja Warrior show came up. People were like, hey, you should be in it. And I started watching. Yeah, I should be in it. I get real uncomfortable about it. I start training for it, thinking I'm going to do it. And then, at a certain point, I realized like I've tried everything I can to get better at all of those different things. And I'm not up to par. So I just got to move on to something different. and you just make that time again. There's so many different things. I don't know. I'm one of those that just like into everything, like almost ADD. So I'm into all kinds of stuff. I just gotta really like bring myself back to, what I should be doing, and having a great wife, and surrounded by good people. A lot of times they'll look at me and go, I don't think she should be thinking about that. I go, what does Marcia think of that? And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, forget that. I don't want to do that. But I think, did I answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I love watching interviews and listening to interviews with you, and it's super cool that now we can have one of our own. I was telling you earlier, I was watching an interview of you on YouTube, and what's so cool is, you have all of these accomplishments under your belt, and you are, from the outside eye, you're this superhuman who just kind of does it all, and you're good at everything you do. And a lot of people can dabble and be okay at things that they try, but I feel like with you, looking at your super long resume of accomplishments, it's really incredible, and you seem to just be that perfect human. And so listening to these interviews, it's really cool to hear about, you're like, I tried this and it didn't work, so you got to move on. And those are the kinds of things that I think help people to say like, wow, I hear about all the things that he did, but there are also things that you did and maybe you didn't succeed at, or you didn't turn out the way that you imagined. Can you share a little bit about your philosophy and your experience on some challenges and some failures in your life?
Oh yeah, for sure. So, I hear that a lot. So what you just said is all the time. And, that's one of the things that inspired me to write the book, because after a while, I just kind of got tired of like, oh, Egan, everything you do you're the best at. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if you only knew how many times I failed, and every time I tell a little story about something that I failed, someone's like, oh man, Egan, I needed to hear that today because I was going through that. And, I feel like part of that book is that same thing. And man, it's really neat to hear, what you just said. It's like really cool. And, but I think everyone can do it. Anyone can do anything that they want to do. And it's all the matter of how bad do you want to do it. And if you're not afraid to fail, right? So there's parts of my life where, like, say, for example, when I decided to give up University of Hawaii. I mean, anyone in that teenage year or anyone who's a parent today, imagine that your dream is that your son goes to Iolani Pono or a good school, and he's going to go to college and is going to become this professional with a great degree. And then halfway through school, he goes, I think I'm going to quit. And I always talk about this because my mom and my dad are both educators, and they believe in education. And they always said, no one can take an education away from you no matter what. Right? So no matter what happens in your life, education is something that you always have. And I heard that all my life. And so 2 years out of at University of Hawaii, I decided, I think I'm going to go, I'm going to go back to school. I mean, I'm going to go quit school because I can always go back to school. I can be 10 years older and I can still go back to school, which I ended up doing. Right. But at that time I thought, you know what, I'm going to chase my dream, because I know physical abilities only last for so long. And I know people go, age is just a number, but as I'm getting up there in age, it's not just a number. It's something you got to learn to deal with, so I'm changing my training programs have to change. Everything has to change. Example, like going after Ninja Warrior, like wanting to try out for that show. I did I tried, I interviewed, they gave me a second audition. And as I was going through that, I realized, like, wow, my recovery time just isn't that good. I don't think I could do some of these things. And it's a hard thing because, I would say that from when I was 16 years old, I'm 51 now, I've pretty much been a professional athlete. All I've done is live training, anything to do with training my mind mentally, training my body physically. I've just been a professional at it. That's all I do. That's what I know. I know how to overcome obstacles. I've failed numerous times playing racquetball. One of the failures that really got me going in racquetball was losing to my mom. Right. So it's the first chapter of my book. Right. And I started racquetball. I'm 16 years old. I was like basketball all-star, baseball all-star. I mean, really good athlete. Any kind of running races, I always won. And I step in a racquetball court with my mom and she just blows me away. And I'm like going, wow, what a blow to the, 16-year-old's ego. Right. And that was like my biggest, wow, I couldn't believe it. I'd race my mom on the road. I beat her. We played jungle gyms. I beat her. I hit the baseball farther than her. I hit a golf ball farther than her. I start up tennis and I'm just as good as her. I mean, everything was like that until this racquetball sport. I mean, so that was a big blow. And then the second one was after I could beat her, the old man with, they had an elbow brace, knee brace. They can barely walk. They walk crooked. And I couldn't beat him in racquetball. Like, just tripped me out. It was like the most failures I've ever had. I think the first year of racquetball, I failed so many times. I didn't even know what was going on anymore. And I knew I had to dig somewhere else if that's what I really wanted to do. And, it starts reminding me of when I was even younger, when I was a kid and I failed in so many different things. And I think I was one of those rascal-like kids, right? You fail and you get up and you just do it again, right? You do something and you're like, wow. And I fall, skin my knee, and everyone's like, oh, he's not going to be doing that again because that hurt. And I was one of those like, nah, do it again. So I skinned that knee again, and I skinned it over and over and over and over. And the thing that I'm thinking about right now is, like, I used to make these little ramps for my bicycle, and I'd jump off these wooden ramps, right? But I didn't make it good, so the thing would fall sometimes. So I'd go up the ramp, and the ramp would drop, and I'd hit the thing, and I'd flip over and land on my head. Get back up. You set up that.
Back then.
And then back then, you didn't have to wear a helmet. So I don't know. Maybe that's what's wrong with me. That's why I fail and it doesn't really faze me.
It's the key to being relentless.
Yeah, maybe that's the key to be relentless. And it's funny because it kind of goes back to, people go, oh, what does it take, Egan, to be a fighter? And I go, well, the first thing is you can't be creative because you can never imagine that you're going to get beat up. And the second thing is you have to have bad memory because you can never remember the last time you got beat up because you're going to get beat up as a fighter at some point. Right? And that's in a joking way, but it's somewhat true. Because if you had those two things and you're big on, visualizing the negative and having that imagination of all kinds of things happening to you in a fight, you'd never do it. And if you remembered your last time you got beat up, which happens to a lot of fighters, they get knocked out and they can never fight again because of that fear of getting knocked out again. And they just relive that. And I think it's the same thing of any kind of failures, right, in life. You fail at one thing, you don't want to try anymore because you don't want to fail again. And I think that's the key to the whole thing. And one of the other failures that I had that was really big was that 2 years that I decided to quit racquetball. That first year, I just made this massive climb in racquetball, and like all over the world, people started recognizing who I was. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be, that racquetball player. And I decided I went on the pro tour. So I dropped everything, moved from Hawaii, moved to California, and didn't make it. That whole year, one whole year I traveled 100,000 miles in that 1 year on an airplane, just alone, the miles traveled, and I didn't win one single game. And it was like, I was just like right there, and I was right there, and the right there and almost doing it, but losing. If it happens the first 3 times, you're still pumped, right? You're like, I'm going to get it. I'm right there. But then it happens again. And then pretty soon it's like, I don't think I can do this. I've exhausted all my financial backing. I've exhausted everything. I almost exhausted even my will, like even my desire. After 1 year of that, I just thought, I don't think I can do this. And that was one of the biggest breaking points for me because whatever I do in my life since then, I know it's like all it takes is just one more thing that might make everything change for you, right? So I always like to talk about that 212 degrees, right? Because at 211 degrees, there's no steam in the water. The water's really not boiling yet. And so that steam is so important because that can move a train. But at 211 degrees, it's not going to move anything. And it's the same thing, just one more degree. I mean, 200 degrees is hot. 212 degrees doesn't seem like it's that much hotter from 12 degrees, but that's all it takes is just a little more, right? And it happened to me so many times in life, like I want to quit. And there's so many things. I mean, everything. I mean, there's been fights where I'm losing and I'm like, oh gosh, I want to tap. I'm going to quit. And I look at my brother like, come on, throw in the towel, right? Like, help me. And he looks at me and goes, I'm not throwing in the towel. And then I end up winning the fight, And it's just like that for everything that I do. And I always joke because my life has been the type where, kind of like Murphy's Law, if something's going to go wrong, always happens to me. So I just accept that. And if something's going to happen, I know I can roll with it. You know, and it always happens. It always does. If there's a draw, like say there's a 10-man bracket and there's one bye, I know I'm not going to get that one bye. I'm going to have the toughest guy. And then if there's all the seeds in the match, and it still happens today, I enter Masters World Championships, I draw the first seed in the first round every single time. And I don't take it anymore as like, oh man, look at me, I get the worst draw, I get the number one seed. I look at it the other way, like, oh, bummer for the number one seed because they must not like him because I'm going to beat him. And I don't always beat him, but that's the way my mind thinks. And if something happens, like I'm going to do something outdoors, in my mind I think, yeah, it's probably going to rain because I need the sun today, but it's okay. You know, if it rains, I'll bring a tent, or, you know, if it'll rain, we'll just play in the rain. It's fine. And I think my mindset has been more and more like that as the years went on. And I think that's real important, because if you just set one goal and you hit it every single time, it's not like you don't have a complete life. You don't understand what the world's about. You know, it's like I always talk about, like if I saw a river or a big pond that I had to walk through, and you look for rocks, right? Because you don't want to fall in the water. You're never going to find that straight path. You're going to find a rock here and you're going to find a rock there. And you're going to, oh gosh, I wonder if I can jump to this next rock because this one looks, you know, this is a long jump, right? And then that rock that might be close might be full of moss. And you're like, oh, look at that. That one's going to be an easy step. And you step on that and you slip and you fall. And now you got two choices when you fall. You can get up and keep going, or you're going to just sit there and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I fell on the easiest thing. Or I can't believe I fell. Now I'm all wet and now I'm not going to continue. Right? So for me, it'd be like, oh, I'm all dirty and wet, but frick, oh, what an idiot. I stepped on that. I fell. Oh, I'm going to get up. I'm going to go. I better move faster now. I got to pick up, right? And then I'll start trying, you know, and dig myself out of that hole and keep going. And I think that's the key, you know, for me. It's like, like I say, I'm not anything special. I got 2 hands, 2 arms, 2 legs, like everyone else, you know, and everyone can do it, you know, and everyone can live like what you guys are doing there, the best life ever. It's just a matter of how bad do you want it and what do you really want?
You know, having experienced your coaching style and working so closely with you, you know, it's really always amazing to see how you constantly are pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And you have this really amazing way of gently and kind of in a fun way pushing people beyond what they think that they're capable of. I think that's one of your greatest skills as a coach, because most of us have that point where we feel like, I don't know, this is pretty much my limit. But you have this way of knowing that I don't think that's your limit, actually. I think you can push a little bit harder. And then, you know, just seeing the amazing results and the confidence that comes from pushing yourself just out beyond what you think your limits are. Can you speak a little bit about getting out of your comfort zone and the value that you see in that?
Yeah, well, getting out of your comfort zone to me is probably the biggest thing in like, I watch people all the time. I mean, like if I go to Las Vegas, I don't like Las Vegas, by the way. I just don't like that atmosphere that much. But if I have to go, I'm going to enjoy it. And one of the things I enjoy is I sit down and I watch people walk by. And I just love watching, even at Ala Center. I'm not that real big shopper and like, you know, I'm same kind of clothes all the time. I'll sit down and I'll watch, you know, and I'll watch people and I just watch people and it just amazes me. Like everyone has so much talent. Like I watch kids jump around. I'm like, wow, this kid, you know, some kids are more recorded than others. I listen to what kids say and I'm like going, wow, it's like so amazing what all these, you know, these people have. And they just don't know it. And I think that's what I like about coaching people. It's like I watch people, I talk to them, and I watch their body movements, and I just know like you know, they're not pushing themselves. They're not reaching for the best. They're settling. And I think that's the habit of most people. We settle. And the why we settle is because it's comfortable. right? If you want something greater and you want more for your life, you're going to have to take that chance. You're going to suffer for a while. That's just how it is. And you know, I watch people like say, as far as it's real simple, like working out wise, like watching someone and knowing that they can push more. And I can see like every excuse that they can think of is what makes them not do it. You know, and I learned that also in racquetball, because as I gave up everything to become this world champion, people would come up to me and go, oh man, I wish I could just like put everything aside and just train like you and be a world champ. And, you know, that used to tick me off, because I used to be like, really? You can? Come on, live with me in health clubs and sneak around in the health clubs till they close, and sleep in the nursery, and then wake up before the club opens, and, you know, sneak around and live that try and live that life. You know, most of you wouldn't want to do that. So don't tell me that you wish you could do what I could do, right? Because if you had the guts, you would do it. And if you really wanted it that bad, you could do it. And I think right there was my eye opener. So even like with these boot camp things, there's a sandbag that's 25 pounds and there's a sandbag that's 30 pounds. Everybody wants a light sandbag. And I'm always like, I watch them, and some people, yes, that's all you can do. And yes, it might be too heavy for you. But the majority of the people, that 25-pound sandbag is not too heavy. Because if there was a baby that was 35 pounds, oh, they pick them up and they throw them up over their heads, and all of a sudden they're fine, right? And you know, you just watch people do that, and in their mind, they're like, oh my gosh, this is heavy. And I know there's times where, you know, when I was lifting weights, I would think that like, oh my gosh, I see them racking on the weights and I'm going, oh my goodness, that's heavy. And guess what? It is heavy, right? Whereas I played that mental game, I'd see them putting those, and that's okay, that's nothing. I got this. All I got to do is stick to the form, stick to the technique, believe, have faith, and just do this. And then I would grab it, and, you know, not that I would lift it really easily, but I would struggle. But in my head, I can do this. And if I think of only lifting the weight, that's what is hard. But if I think of the technical part of the whole movement, the weight just goes up. And I think that's the key to, you know, like what you're asking is taking yourself out of the comfort zone. If you take yourself out of a comfort zone because you have this high, huge goal, and you only look at that high, huge goal, it's hard. But if you think of the little steps along the way, I can take myself out of comfort zone. You know, what I'm going to do right away is I'm going to make all these little tiny goals along the way. And that's what's going to get me there. And it makes me a little more comfortable making those goals a little smaller, right? Or if it's a technical thing, I think of the technical points of how my body's supposed to move. And then it takes my mind off of that huge goal way up above. And I think that's how you can get out of your comfort zone and just, you know, keep challenging yourselves.
Awesome. It's super like we've known you for so long, but it's still so fascinating to listen to you talk about this stuff. And we have coached with you at the Fit Body boot camps, or the Egan's boot camps now that you own. And you also own a cryotherapy clinic. Do you call it a clinic?
I just call it cryotherapy.
Cryotherapy. It's its own thing. It's its own category. And that's super, super fascinating for us. We are really into biohacking and all of that. And so cryotherapy is kind of, I mean, it's not new, right? It's been around for
a while. Yeah.
But I feel like it just made it to Hawaii, and you actually have just the second place on the island, right? There's not many others. And so we're just really interested to learn and share with our listeners a little bit more about what exactly cryotherapy is and why you believe so strongly in it.
So basically what cryotherapy is, it's a way of just healing yourself. So it's kind of a machine that cools your body down at real cold temperatures. So your blood just goes to your core, reoxygenates, and then when you step out of the machine, it circulates your blood more. So it's basically just an aid to helping yourself heal quicker, feel better, you know, like a recovery thing. And I'm also like that into biohacking, right? I'm like 51 and like I'm feeling the age, right? So even more so, but all my life, that's all I've been thinking about is like, how am I going to stay young? How am I going to be able to compete against younger guys? You know, and a lot of the sports I played, as I continued, I'm playing against younger and younger guys, and I can't, you know, it's one of those things. Like even racquetball, I started at 16. By the time I got on the pro tour, most of the guys are like still 16 years old, you know, and they're like pros. And, you know, how do I keep up with these guys? And then when I went to BJJ, I'm in my 30s and all the guys are 18, right? So talking about always trying to find what can make you recover, what can keep you younger, what can keep you healthier, what can keep you competing. That's how I came across cryotherapy, right? And that's why I believe so much in cryotherapy, because one day I went over to California and I went train with all these young guys. And anytime I go to a new school and I train with them, I'm always just like super nervous because I mean, if I could walk in and wear a white belt, I'd be fine. But then I wear a black belt and people look at me like, oh, wow, people just want a piece of me, you know? And I'm like, not because I'm a bad guy, but some people want it for their ego. And, you know, it's like, I always know I'm going to have to train harder than I ever trained if I jump in there, because someone's going to try to kill me. And it always happens. So I'll go and train. Next day, I'm so sore because I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm not going to train at that school again I need 10 days to recover because that's how hard I had to train, right? And, you know, one of the times I went, they said, hey, you can come with me to this ice place. And I was like, this ice place, like what? I could use ice, you know, I jump in an ice bath or something, but you know, that's also not fun, sitting in an ice bath for 20 minutes. So he goes, no, you gotta try. It's only gonna be like a couple minutes. Frick, I'm down, right? And I go, what is it gonna do? He goes, it's gonna make you super cold and you're gonna feel super good after. I was like, oh yeah, I'm down. So I went into that. Next morning I woke up, I was like, wow, I felt like I didn't train. I mean, I was a little bit sore, but it felt like I was just normal training. So I went back, I trained with the guys again. They tried to kill me again. And then I went back to the cryotherapy, and I was like, I have to own one of these, right? So it made me feel so good. And I just could, you know, and then I researched it and I looked at it and I thought about it and I was like, man, this thing just makes sense, right? As far as trying to stay younger, as far as, I mean, it does benefits to your skin because it's doing everything. It's just reoxygenating your blood. And anytime you're injured, what's the number one thing that you're trying to do? You're trying to get blood flow, right? And the other thing that we're always trying to do, like, you know, I freed for a long time, and the thing that we always want is you want oxygen. You want your blood cells to be full of oxygen. And that's exactly what this does, right? So studying all the different sports, being at the Olympic Training Center, one of the things that they're always trying to do for athletes is how do you get more oxygen in each of your blood cells, right? Or how do you get more blood cells with oxygen, right? And that's where like all the blood doping came from, EPO for all the cycling. And it makes a huge difference. I mean, it makes a big, big difference. And this can do it naturally. And so that's the main reason for this cryotherapy. I mean, just more oxygen in your blood cells and your blood moving better makes everything work better. I mean, Anthony Robbins has one of those machines at each of his houses. Why? He said it makes him think good. You know, it makes his brain feel like it's on steroids. And he says after doing his seminars, he puts so much into his seminars that he's wiped. And without that machine, he won't be able to go on. And that's the same way I feel. I can't keep training and I can't keep doing what I want to do. I wouldn't have the energy if I didn't have this machine.
Very cool. We've tried it. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
It's really good too for injuries. You have that spot treatment machine.
Yeah.
I remember when I busted my foot and it was super fat. Just a couple times through that machine, the inflammation went down super fast.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. And people can go to Cryotherapy Hawaii and you can enter in your info and get 50% off your treatment. That's super cool. And you have another really exciting thing happening over at your boot camp, and that is a New Year's transformation. So here we are at the end of the year. People are starting to think about their health goals for 2017. So can you tell us a little bit about the what the challenges are like at the gym?
So our transformation challenges at our boot camps is a pretty big thing because it basically you surround yourself with all likewise people. So everyone that's in the boot camp are doing the same thing. They're trying to get in shape. They're trying to eat better. The New Year's transformation is always a huge one because everybody's got their New Year's resolutions or their New Year's revelations or whatever it is. They're trying to get in shape. They have this, they want to create their best life ever, right? And so part of creating your best life ever would be, getting yourself on a fitness program, eating properly. And, once you get that habit started, that's when things are going to start to happen for you. And then you're surrounding yourselves with like-minded people with the same types of goals, right? So that's the biggest thing. I think it's the community of people. It makes it a real successful program. So anyone who's, thinking of wanting to turn their life around and become healthier, that's the place to do it. And you should jump into that challenge.
Very cool. I got to say, when I first started boot camp, that was one of the first challenges we did. And it was so much fun. It was like, it's weird thinking about that long ago. It's actually where I met Kimi. It's at your boot camp. But that was like the best challenge. And it was so much fun. And clearly it didn't just, how most New Year's resolutions fizzle out by like March or sooner. In 4 years, I'm still there. So
that's good, right?
There's definitely a lot to it. It's super awesome. Well, you are always up to something, and you're curious. You got your boot camp, you got your cryotherapy, you got your 11 world titles. What's next?
I don't know. That's what's neat, right? But that's what's cool about life. It's like you just never know what's gonna be next. For me, it's like whatever is next. Like I'm always waiting. I'm always poking my nose into stuff, but like I said, I always get reeled back in because I'm out there, like trying to do something different. I think at a certain point, I keep telling myself that you just stay with what you're doing and you do good with, and you're comfortable with, and you're happy doing it. To me, I think this book is going to open up more doors for me. And I've been doing a lot of this public speaking. I like trying to inspire people and motivate people. And it was one of the big reasons I wrote this book, is because I wanted to reach out to more people and be able to help people reach their goals or whatever their dream was, like inspire them to like go for it, do it. Because what I did is nothing. I mean, people can do it too. It's just a matter of, like I said, how bad do you want it? And just being relentless. And that's, basically the whole theme of that whole book is if you become relentless and chase your dreams, you'll get it. So that's what's next.
Love it. Love it. Wow, Egan, this has been so, so, so incredible. And, we just really want to take a moment to thank you and being a part of the gym, knowing you. It's just been such a wonderful opportunity. As Pua said, we wouldn't even know each other if it wasn't for you. You and Marcia have brought together such an amazing community. And I really feel, I've always said this about you and Marcia and the gym. It's just like, you guys are like magic magnets. I don't know what it is, but you just draw, actually I do know what it is. And it's that down to earth, humble, kind, generous spirit that you have, and that true desire to help people. And I wouldn't know Joey if it wasn't for you. We so appreciate all the help and support that you've been giving him to, help him reach his goals to become a professional fighter. So thank you for being so generous with your time and your wisdom and sharing so much with us today. Wow, this is, and we want to let people know that they can find out more about your book at eganinoue.com. So EGANINOUE.com. And there's a link there even to get to the boot camp information at hawaiifitcamp.com, so they can sign up for a transformation. They can come see you at Cryotherapy Hawaii. So thank you so much for today. Oh, and Pua, we have a special contest, right?
We do. If you guys are interested in Egan's book, we're actually giving one of his books away today. I would say today, this week, next week. Well, what we're doing is we're doing an iTunes review contest. So go ahead and write us an iTunes review, take a screenshot of it, and email it to us with your name and your address. You'll be entered to win a free copy of Egan's book. Super awesome. And we'll let you guys know about that soon.
Hey, thanks so much, Egan.
All right, thank you, and it's likewise. It's always great being around you guys too. You guys also inspire me, and keep up the good work, and try to get people to have their best life ever.
Yeah.
Thanks, Egan.
All right, we'll see you.